Hello everyone, and welcome back to Pokemon False Red. I'm trying to figure out the volume for this because I have to change my volume with every sort of program or game that I use. But anyways, we are back, so I want to show you our Pokemon party. So we do have Mankey at level 8, we have Bulbasaur at level 9, we do have a Metapod, I caught a Caterpie up near Viridian Forest. Rattata's just kind of there. We're obviously not going to keep using him, but that's just what we have right now. And Spearow, I didn't do too much leveling just because she will get a lot of action when we finally get into Viridian Forest. I have caught other Pokemon since then. I do have like a Weedle, a Pidgey, that sort of thing, but I want to go up here. Not only just to see if there's some items, but I don't think there is. But anyways, I want to go ahead and see if we can do this battle. So let's just see how it goes. Alright, Red, I'm going to beat you. Alright, that's fine. You could try. Alright, so Rival Green would like to battle. Oh, a Pidgey. I do wish we had like a Pikachu or something. Obviously this is not going to be good. So we're going to have to swap out to Bulbasaur. Because that Gust is going to murder us either way, so... Sand attack. Okay. Well, as long as the Leech Seed hits, then that's all I really care about. Oh... Sand attack. Sand attack's the worst. I hated it in the original game. I hate it now. It's just bad. Alright. There we go. Okay, and we are going to go ahead and throw a Growl in there. I'm not really, like, huge on status effects, but when it comes to things like this, since Pidgey's the same level as us, and obviously their attacks are going to be stronger, I'm more concerned with getting their attack down so that when they start using Tackle or Gust, which would be super effective against our Bulbasaur, we're obviously not suffering near as much. So, meanwhile, we're just doing the slow burn here. So, alright, so we did take their... There we go. We did take their attack down, and that is good. The only problem is now, you know, it's a matter of hitting the Pidgey. And Mankey's gonna get all that experience because we did swap him out. And that's the thing with the original Pokemon games is, you know, there was no mass experience share, so you had to, in order to level up Pokemon, you either had to use them in battle, or you had to have them in the first slot. And then swap them out with another Pokemon, which would then share the XP between the two Pokemon. And that's the best way to do it. I was explaining this to my sister the other day, because she's never played the original Pokemon. She actually just got into Pokemon, I think, last year, year before last. And so explaining to her how the old games work, she was like, yeah, I would never make it, so... Alright, and there we go, the one tackle that hits. Mankey got 52 points, Bulbasaur got 52 points, woo boy! Alright, do I want to switch to another Pokemon? Obviously I do. So we're gonna go ahead, well... We're just gonna go say no for now. I want to see if we can hit this Charmander with the Leech Seed. Because the thing is by now, this Charmander absolutely does have Ember, and I don't want to risk it on Bulbasaur, but if we can get the Leech Seed going, we can try a different Pokemon, which I'm going to go ahead and switch out to Mankey. Seems like he's just using the Scratch, though. But the good thing about Leech Seed is it will heal any Pokemon, so that's really helpful. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and throw in those Low Kicks. Low Kick doesn't really seem to be doing too much. There we go. I can see if Scratch does a little bit. Or we could just use Leer. See if we can get that defense down. And he's countering with attack down. But you know, that's fine. We'll hit him with another Leer. And then we should be able to do one Scratch and take him out. If this Leech Seed doesn't take him out first. Alright. so he does with another scratch. We're gonna hit him with a scratch and he should be gone. There we go. Nice! Level 10! Ooh, Vine Whip. Very, very good. That'll be so good for the next gym. We'll stop you. This is our world. His world, not yours. Alright. We shaped this world. We shaped this story. And he's the hero. Who are you? You're no one. Okay. Alright, so, there's a couple things that I wanted to actually correct, I guess, from my last video. So, False Red is not a Pokepasta. False Red was actually just kind of made as its own thing. This game is so loud. False Red was actually just made as its own thing. It was never a Pokepasta to begin with. It's just people did write Pokepastas after the ROM hacks release. So there's that. I guess I couldn't, I mean, I played this ROM before, and so I wasn't really, I guess I'd played it so long ago, I didn't really remember, how much it changed, if anything. So far, from what I've revisited, because I went back and I watched all my old videos, so far, nothing is really that different. So we're gonna go ahead and swap Pokemon, because we're gonna save. Yeah, it's okay to override it. Also, I want to change some of the options, so I want to make sure that this text is going faster, because I have no patience to read. Text speed, oh god, I forgot. Options. I want fast. Battle scene on, battle scene shift, sound mono, yep. Ooh, frame type. I want that. There we go. Ooh, this is so much better. I love fast frame types. But yeah, I guess I was trying to go off of memory, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm running into all these new things. No, I really wasn't. I just really didn't remember what I played before. And I guess where I left off in False Red was right after the Cerulean gym. Not really sure why I gave it up, or if something had happened, so... Rattata may be small, but don't underestimate so we could bite. Have you caught one already? Yes, I have. Are you going to Viridian Forest? It's a natural maze in there. Be careful you don't get lost. I won't. I love these little screens that they give you. Come home. I came here with some friends to catch bug Pokemon. They're all itching to get into some Pokemon battles. Well, good, because I need to level up my Spearow. So, I'm looking for the items in here. Also, I would really like to catch a Pikachu, because I would really like to have an electric type for when we actually go into the forest. I mean, not the forest, the cave. The problem is that I've played first-gen Pokemon so many times, I pretty much already know what I'm looking for. In terms of, like, Pokemon. I tend to use the same sort of team, and I don't really switch it up that much. Which I know sounds bad, but, you know, it is what it is. Probably shouldn't be wasting my Pokeballs on the Kakuna, yeah. I already have a Weedle, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just peck it to death. But I can't help it, I see a Pokemon I don't have, and I'm like, ooh. Well, I replaced the Pokeball I wasted, that's good. But I do want a Pikachu, though. Most of these Pokemon, I'm not gonna lie, we are gonna run from. I don't have the time to fight them. I don't want to fight them. And unless it's a Pikachu, I don't even want to bother with it. I already have a Metapod, so there's that. I mean, I guess I could be using my Metapod and, like, leveling it up that way. You know, where I'm swapping out, but I don't know, I just don't really feel the need to do that right now. I could probably do that for the gym battle and just keep it that way. Someone will say, for poison, use antidote. Okay, so they kept the helpful signs, but normal, like, signs, they all just say come home. Okay. potion. Not bad. I did buy some more potions. I definitely bought some antidotes. So there's that. I'm not gonna bother with the Kakuna. Don't need it, don't want it. But yeah, I was talking to my sister about the original games because, you know, I still play the original Pokemon Red, and I do plan on playing it for this channel. Hey, you have Pokemon, come on, let's battle. But I was just telling her about the mechanics changes and how there's just certain Pokemon types that just don't appear in the old games. So... Ooh, look at that. I already knew Spearow was gonna level up a lot. Do you want to change Pokemon? No? No? Pretty confident in what I got. I know a lot of people were probably really wanting me to use Pidgey. The thing is I don't really mind Pidgey, and I know that Pidgeot and whatnot, like Pidgeot in the end is a very good Pokemon. It's obviously stronger than a Fearow because it's a 3-stage Pokemon versus a 2-stage Pokemon. But at the same time, like right now, Spearow is actually the better choice to pick right away because it already has Peck, which is a flying type move. Whereas you have to get Pidgey to what, level 10 before it learns Gust? And I just don't have the patience. So... Besides, I'll probably end up swapping out Spearow anyways at some point. Do I want to switch out Pokemon? Yeah. I'll go ahead and switch out to Metapod just to get the experience. Especially since I just got Spearow to 9. The goal is I like to have all my Pokemon that I'm going to be using to be level 10 before the first gym, but that's just personal preference. Also, you're going to hear me clicking the buttons a lot. It's just habit. I don't have the patience, so I do tend to just keep pressing the button even though I know it doesn't do anything. So I apologize if that annoys anybody. I just don't have the sound blocking technology to have you ignore my constant clicking. I do this on the Game Boy as well. I'm surprised that my Game Boy Color, like, the buttons never wore out because of my constant clicking. So I might as well just swap out Metapod right now. Yep, come home. Da-na-na-na. Okay, now is there... I do tend to forget my way through the forest because, I don't know, it's not really confusing. Like, Viridian Forest is not confusing. If you want to talk confusing, we're talking Rock Tunnel. Rock Tunnel is confusing. Rock Tunnel is confusing. Freaking, the Elite Four, like, the Champions Cave or whatever, the Path to Champions or the Path of Champions or whatever the fuck it's called, that one's confusing. I don't think I've ever really gotten through it without a guide, even though I've been playing this game since 1998. Did you know that Pokemon evolve? Yeah, I'm pretty well aware. Go Metapod! Alright. Time for the old tactic of my characters need to or my Pokemon need to level up and I don't have an experience share. It is really funny to think about how Pokemon's changed though, like over the years. You know, like nowadays everybody says Pokemon's too easy, and in retrospect, like, you know, looking back, it really is easy. I was telling my sister that the hardest Elite Four for me was probably 3rd generation. I think that was like the biggest jump for me in terms of Pokemon difficulty was Gen 3. I just remember that Elite Four just being horrid, but mostly it was just because I didn't really understand Pokemon types. And this is what's crazy to me. I got Pokemon Red and Blue as a kid. I got them both because my dad didn't know what version I wanted, so he kind of just bought me both of them. Because I was, I guess, spoiled like that. And I had Yellow version as well. And then I got Gold and Silver. And I never owned Crystal. But then, when Ruby and Sapphire came out, I only had Ruby version. And I just remember they had introduced the Dark type in, the Dark type and Steel type. They had introduced that in Pokemon Gold and Silver. And I just remember not really understanding how those types worked. And I was really upset about it. Because I was like, Dark type, that's too confusing, and Steel type, that just makes things more confusing. Like, I knew that Steel type could be, you know, taken out by fire, but I didn't understand you could also take it out with fighting. I also didn't know what Steel type was good against, and so I didn't use a single, like, Steel type Pokemon, really. I just remember it being super confusing, and what was crazy was I eventually learned Steel type, but I didn't learn it until, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because I adamantly just refused to learn these types, and I don't know why. And it was the same with Fairy type. When Fairy type came out, I was like, man, this is stupid, I don't understand this type at all. And it was almost like my brain just said, no, this isn't Pokemon, right? And I feel bad because had I learned it earlier, had I actually taken the time to look it up or ask somebody or something like that, like, my life would have been a lot easier for one, but, you know, for two, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I had no reason to be as stubborn as I was about these games, about these different types of Pokemon. But I would have had a much better play experience with the Elite Four, especially in Ruby and Sapphire. I would have had a much easier time had I utilized these Pokemon types that I knew nothing about. Alright, Spearow is now level 10. So this is where I kinda gotta be careful, because I don't want... I should be able to find a Pikachu through here. Should be. But it's a really rare chance of spawning. How much does my tackle do, since I'm like 5 levels above? It don't do crap. Because if I could just get Metapod to level 10 without having to utilize Spearow, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. My goal was just to get through this forest. I mean, obviously I can look for a Pikachu in my own time. But yeah, my goal was just to get through this forest. And then, I mean, if I can get the first gym badge, then that's fine too. Because I want to make these videos a little shorter just because I'm gonna skip some stuff, obviously. I'm gonna skip me leveling. I think I can beat Pokemon Red, like the original. I can beat it in about 24 hours, but that's including, you know, leveling up and stuff. That's including taking the time to level, to train and everything else, whatever. Man, that really does a whole heck of a lot of nothing. I mean, Butterfree will be good to have for a bunch of reasons. Butterfree can learn psychic moves, and if Butterfree can learn those psychic moves, then we obviously have a powerful foe against fighting type, even though the fighting type can be super effective. Not only that, but Butterfree can learn flying moves, which again would give us a boon. The only problem is with Butterfree being a bug type. Obviously, it is weak to everything it would be good against. But it could be useful in the Elite Four, because whenever we're fighting Agatha or Gengar, then... There we go! When we're fighting Agatha or Gengar. Alright. Holy shit! just thinking of what I could do, but I'm just gonna throw Pokeballs until I catch it. All I know is I want it. So Gib. Alright, there we go. That's good. Alright, we're not nicknaming any of the Pokemon yet. I've only had one person comment about nicknames. Have you noticed the skinny trees? They can be cut down by a special Pokemon move. Do you know the evolution cancel technique? Uh-huh. Many Pokemon live only in forests and caves. Okay. So, Pokemon. How close? Well, how close? Next level, 88 points. You could probably get him to level 10 before that. Or we could just do the switch technique. I wonder if there's a Nidoran in here. A Nidoran would be nice to have. Oh no, I don't want that. Because that's the thing, whenever I was going through that one patch of grass, I didn't run into a single Nidoran. And that's what I find crazy, because normally, Nidoran are pretty plentiful. I mean, they're not as, like, common, but they're pretty plentiful regardless. It's only 16 points, that ain't gonna get me crap. Yeah, I haven't run into a single Nidoran. That is just crazy to me. And battles like this are gonna take forever. And then I want to swap out my Pikachu to the front before I take on the gym, that way Pikachu can get all that experience and kind of catch up with the rest of my team. Because Pikachu learning Thunder Shock is going to be necessary in a cave full of Zubat. Zubat are so annoying. Like, half the time you can't run from them. So it's like half the time you can't run from them, they use freaking Supersonic to confuse the crap out of your Pokemon. Like, they are a nuisance. An absolute nuisance. But the reason I'm looking for a Nidoran is because Nidoking, or Nidoqueen, which I love Nidoqueen, they can learn all sorts of techniques. But yeah, they can learn all sorts of things. They can learn Earthquake and Blizzard and just all sorts of goodies. They're an amazing addition to a party. Though they are poison, I mostly utilize them for fighting and ground types, but since I have a Primeape, I guess I don't really have a need for it. But Nidoqueen is a tank. But yeah, I'm actually just shocked I've not run into any, I'm more just shocked I haven't run into any, freaking Nidoran female or Nidoran males. At least these Pidgeys don't know Gust. Because otherwise that would just blow Mankey over like nothing. Someone said I should nickname my Mankey Fidangler, and I had to search up if that was an actual thing, and it wasn't, not really, but I was just like, what? And they're like, yeah, just nickname it Fidangler, just cause. And I'm like, you know what? I like your style. But yeah, nobody else has really offered up any nicknames, so. I'm gonna try and stop my incessant clicking, but I can't guarantee that. Like I said, it's habit. I play Pokemon, and it's just something that happens, okay? There we go. Evolution, baby! We're really ranking up. And this will help later when we talk to Professor Oak's aides. And he's talking about if I own so many Pokemon, then he'll give me something, you know? Aww, Butterfree looks so cute. Ooh, Confusion. Heck yeah! Look at that. That is worth it. 100% that is worth it. Okay, Let's save the game. Let's see. I'm tempted to name my Butterfree Wingman, because that's what my sister named hers. It was so funny. So my sister started playing Pokemon with Pokemon Shield. That was her first ever Pokemon game. And, interesting. He's saying that no other trainers are like him. Hold on. What? Team Rocket's at Mount Moon, huh? I'm on the phone. Scram. I really want a Pikachu like his, so I'm trading my Clefairy for one. I'm trading Pokemon with that kid there. I had 2 Pikachus, so I figured I might as well trade one. Hi, glad to meet you. That's unfriendly of you. How about saying hi back? So come on, tell me about yourself. I'd love to hear your profile. Tell me something good about yourself. What's your profile? Yes? What's your profile? I am a Pokemon friend. I am a Pokemon... I am a Pokemon trainer. I am a Bulbasaur trainer. Absolutely a Bulbasaur trainer. Profile really says something about who you are. You think you're him, don't you? But you aren't. Now that I know you better, it makes us better friends than ever. Well, that's confusing. But okay. Yawn when Jigglypuff sings, Pokemon get drowsy, me too. Oh, it needs to spin while it's singing. Anywho. Alright, welcome to our Pokemon Center. Yep. Go ahead and heal my Pokemons. But anyways, as I was saying, so my sister started Pokemon with Pokemon Shield. And essentially what ended up happening was I told her that when she was trying to figure out what Pokemon she should have for her team, I told her to grab a Caterpie, and I forget what it was for, but she needed a bug type, and I was like, get Caterpie, and she's like, but I don't like bug type Pokemon, blah 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 blah, and she was unhappy, but she was like, you know what, fine, I'll take your advice, because I even told her, I was like, hey, you know, like, you don't have to take my advice, and she's like, no, I'll do it, and I'm like, okay, well, I was like, so there's that, but, she hated having a Caterpie, and she was like, you know, and especially when it turned into Metapod, she's like, oh, it's so ugly, blah, 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 blah. Well, then she eventually, it turned into a Butterfree, and she was like, okay, well, it's kinda cute. The fairy came from the moon, that's what the rumor is, they appeared after moonstones fell on Mount Moon. But the long story short was, Butterfree ended up being, like, one of her MVPs, like, ended up being one of her strongest freaking Pokemon. And, yeah. You want to dream big? Do you dare to dream of becoming a Pokemon champ? That's his title. You can try, though. I'm no trainer, but I can advise you on how to win. Sure. Alright, let's get that happening. First Pokemon out in the matches, blah, 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 blah. Changing order may get an advantage, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Leader Brock. Winning trainers, red, green. Huh, interesting. So it already has Red's name on there. Stop right there, kid. You're 10,000 light years away from being him. I like that there's more dialogue from what I remember, because I remember there being, like, just barely any, and it felt like I was just playing too much of a normal, Pokemon game. Alright, so we are going to send out Bulbasaur. That's fine. There we go. There we go. Ooh! Yep, and change back to Pikachu. That way we can kind of speed level our little guy. Or girl. And we'll switch back to Bulbasaur. I know it's probably gonna make some people so mad, the switching back and forth, but, like, trust the process, okay? You have to trust the process. Oh, screw your defense curl. But it could be worse. Sandshrew could be using, Dig, which would be highly annoying. Alright, Bulbasaur should level up. Nice. Nice. are going to go ahead and use a potion. I know it's not technically necessary, but I want to make sure that Bulbasaur has it and he's all good to go. Now I am going to nickname the Bulbasaur Buddy, because I always nickname my Bulbasaur Buddy. So people can nickname every other Pokemon, but Bulbasaur, which is going to be Buddy. My Pokemon are all rock hard. You're going to challenge me knowing that you'll lose? That's the trainer's honor that compels you to challenge me. Fine then, show me your best. Alright, first gym, here we come. I do miss Brock's classic pose though, not even gonna lie. Alright. Now, his Geodude is stronger than my Bulbasaur. And this is where things get kind of annoying, because he will use that defense curl. So we are going to go ahead and Leech Seed everybody, because he's going to use that to his advantage. There we go. And we're going to do the same for Onyx. There's something about Pokemon battle themes that just gets the blood going. Rock 2. Oof. That is a very... Ooh, shit. That is a very powerful move. Oh. That is rough. Ooh, but that's even more rough! A level 8 Mankey. Holy crap. That is funny. Go Mankey. Go Fidangler. Took you for granted, and so I lost. As proof of your victory, I confer on you this, the official Pokemon League Boulder Badge. Hey! Just having the Boulder Badge makes your Pokemon more powerful. It also enables the use of the move Flash outside of battle. Of course, Pokemon must know the move Flash to use it. Nice. Wait, take this with you. Is it Rock Tomb? Yeah. Uh-huh. 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 It contains Rock Tomb. Yeah. It lowers their speed. I don't really think I have anything that can use Rock Tomb right now. Actually, I should talk to this guy again, because I beat Brock, so... He won that battle, too. Yep. Gosh, can't even be happy for me. But fine. It's all fine. So... But we do have our first badge. So we can go to our profile. And there we go. There's our first badge. So, pretty sweet deal. We're gonna go ahead and save now that we have one badge. Alright. So I think this is a good stopping point, since the next place that we have is Mount Moon. I think in the next episode what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go through the Fossil Museum. We're gonna check out some of the places around here, see if we need anything from the market, and then we're gonna go ahead and battle our way up to Mount Moon, and that should be good for our next episode. But anyways, leave a like if you like the series and if you want to see more. As always, if you want to talk about this ROM hack or about any Pokepastas or anything similar down below, or if you want to nickname my Pokemon team, at least the majority of them anyways, outside of the Bulbasaur, go ahead and leave those nicknames in the comment section down below. I will be picking my favorites once we make it to the Name Raider. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your continued support. More Okami will be coming, since I do want to finish that up here soon so that we can begin on Nier Replicant. But thank you guys so much for your continued support, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, ciao you guys!